What's up, guys? I'm Tanner Chidester, and in this video series, Justin Waller's team have come to Miami to immerse themselves in the world of online business with me as their guide. So buckle up and get ready to dive into the realm of entrepreneurship. All right, guys, so today's gonna be on fulfillment. This is specifically high ticket fulfillment. So you guys have done fulfillment before, but I just want to show you what we do to give you guys ideas. I don't think this is gonna be anything revolutionary, but I do think it's important for you guys to see how we fulfill on our high ticket clients. Most of these clients are paying minimum $4,000. Some are paying 16,000, some are paying 10, some are paying 25, some are paying 50 plus. So these are the clients who are paying the most money. All right. So yes, last time we did sales, they closed the deal. The first thing we do is we send them a page that looks similar to this. The reason we do that is it makes the onboarding process a lot easier. So we'll send them over the agreements via DocuSign. We send them to the Facebook group. We'll have a private WhatsApp group. You don't have to do that. We like it so that if there's any big announcements for events or something Justin wants to do, they can go there. Then we'll get their address and date of birth if you want to send them anything, and then they hold tight. Once that happens, the sales rep will drop them in the group with a picture. So you guys can see, and the program name. So you can see this was a couple months ago or a month ago. They'll put a little bit of a copy together. So this was an 18-year-old kid. We blocked out his face, obviously, when he joined, and we say, hey, welcome to the group. And then people will start commenting, hey, congrats, welcome to the group, etc. This is our onboarding sheet. It's an Excel sheet. You guys can do whatever you want, but this makes it really concise and clear. So you guys can see from left to right, start date, end date, duration of the program they're in, the program name, if they're on a payment plan or a pay in full, and then recurring invoices set, DocuSign complete, notes, group intro, Slack post. We also have our sales guys ask for three-way referrals. That's a great tip. If you want your sales team to make 2 more sales a month, every person they close, just send a text and say, hey, super excited you're gonna join. By the way, if there's anyone else you know that would be a fit for the program, you'll get 10% off and they'll get 10% off too. It's called a two-way referral. So typically whatever it costs you guys to acquire a client with ads, you'll pay that instead. So for example, if it costs me $4,000 of running ads to get a customer, then I'm willing to pay up to that in commission, right? So maybe I don't want to pay $4,000 total, but I give $1,500 to the person who refers and $1,500 to the person who comes on board. So that's called a two-way referral. Okay, so there's that. On the other side of the page, you guys can't see it, so this is just showing the other side of the page, is once they're onboarded, then did they have their tag set? Did they have their Basecamp created? Were they added to a private Slack channel? Did they get the master tracker sheet, start and end date, etc.? So it just makes it really clean. At the size of my business, we have someone who is what you could consider an assistant coach or an onboarding coach. So she handles all that. When you guys start in the beginning, you might just have one of the coaches do it, or you have each coach do it separately, but this just makes sure that nothing gets missed. If it's not checked off, it wasn't done. If it is checked off, it is done. Super simple. This right here is Basecamp. I told you guys about this. What I like about Basecamp, there's Asana, Basecamp, Monday, ClickUp. It doesn't matter what you use. The CRM stuff we did the other day was Elite 360. I really think that's the best one. With this stuff, it's really up to you. I like Basecamp because you can communicate with the client in there. So if you see coaching support, you can see conversations. And then we also can split it out by different projects. So this is their coach. This here is their ad agency work we're doing. This here is the setters and closers we're providing them. And this here is their Elite 360 support. This here is a private Slack channel with the executives and the coaching staff. You can add as many people as you want up here. And then there's docs and files. So I like it because it keeps it really coordinated and you don't have to have a bunch of different channels. So instead of using Slack and all these other things, everything for the client happens inside Basecamp for us, okay? This right here is Slack. We're not using Slack anymore for the coaching clients. We use it for our internal staff, but what we use now is Basecamp. Again, you can use Slack. We just like Basecamp because one, we don't have to pay Slack a bunch of extra money, and then two, it keeps everything in one place. It's great to handle chargebacks, issues. If some client is complaining, you can go back and see all the information in one spot. The more you guys can condense things in one place, the easier it is to run the business, okay? This right here is client fulfillment group calls. So they have the one-to-one coach, and then we also use group calls in conjunction. So just to give you guys an idea, what we like to do, and it goes back to what I showed you guys before, is let's say we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Each day we'll have a specific call. So this might be mindset, right? This could be sales, this could be ads, this could be messaging, and then this could be coaching or whatever they need help with. So typically you obviously want to figure out what's the biggest bottlenecks for the client. You'll have those calls. You can also do what's called pods. So the way we try to hit our clients is they have a one-to-one dedicated coach. That's essentially private communication, right? They can have private communication and Zoom calls. The next layer is this. So group calls, it's a group. The final layer is what we call pods. Pros and cons of pods. Think of pods as your little group chats with your homies, right? So what a pod is they can get on a group call, but it's only, instead of everyone, it might be 4 to 8 people. The benefit is they can talk amongst themselves and get coaching and see what's working for everyone else. The downside is sometimes the clients might talk to each other. And so if one client's having a negative experience, they can ruin the whole pod. So you gotta be very careful, right? That could happen in the real world too. If someone's in the Slack channel, for example, and they're complaining and then someone else starts complaining, it begins this tidal wave. So what I'd recommend you guys do at the minimum is if you did group calls and pods, you could do that. So that's more group coaching, right? There's no real one-to-one. I find that the more they pay, the more they want one-to-one because they're paying more, right? So they expect more. You don't have to do it, but at least in business consulting, if people pay 5 figures and they don't get it, they usually don't like it. And they usually can't get results, at least with the type of services and industries I work in, because there's just a lot to learn. Messaging, sales, coaching, fulfillment. I mean, you guys have seen all the stuff we're going through. It's a lot. And so for a brand new person, they usually need some one-to-one. So this right here is a fulfillment call, mindset, sales, ads, messaging, copywriting, tech, etc. I usually will do the sales. This right here is an Elite 360. These are the courses. So this is an inside look of what I was showing you guys, is you guys can take and create all your courses right inside the CRM. You don't have to go anywhere. You can see the members. Obviously, different courses will have different levels of members. Some can be free, some can be paid. It's whatever you guys want to do. Pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. This right here is the inside look of it. So as you go inside, you'll have your modules. You can put a thumbnail, etc. It doesn't really matter. Again, I'm just showing you guys how we do things. This is once you click on one of these videos. So let's say I clicked on intro to conversion conversations. This is how it looks. You can put any PDFs down here that they can click on. You can also have instructions over here. That's how it looks. This right here is the funnels that we'll give the clients. You guys should probably already have some, but when you get new clients on board, if they need funnels, especially if you guys are doing contractors, what's cool is you guys can just rinse and repeat the same funnels over and over. Contractors are not, correct me if I'm wrong, I might be incorrect, but most contractors, I'm assuming, only work in certain cities and certain states. Yeah. So they're not competing against each other. So it doesn't really matter if all the contractors are using the same stuff because they're not really competing with each other. Now, if you happen to get 2 contractors in the same area, yes. But other than that, you can pretty much just replicate everything. Same ads, same copy, same funnels, and it's gonna make you guys a lot of money with very little effort. This is just showing some of the funnels. We've gone over this, how to schedule a call, the tags, but that's pretty much it for today. It's the client fulfillment. Let's stop there. The next part would be the Ascension. So Ascension is, okay, once they're a client, how can we sell them other stuff? But let's pause there. Do you guys have questions from last week, or do you have questions about anything in terms of fulfillment?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have questions.
go ahead. Yeah, let's do it.
Got a bunch of them. So,
okay, yeah, let's do it.
Starting with integrating or switching over to Elite 360.
Yep.
So actually today I'm going to meet with my guys at 5 and I'm gonna basically integrate them into using Elite 360 instead of just using the phone.
Okay.
So my guys just use the phone because that's what we thought was the most efficient way. And I think using Elite 360 is a lot more efficient.
Okay.
It's clearly a lot more efficient. But what would be the best way to integrate them into it, make sure they get used to it, using things like labels and whatnot?
Yeah, so anytime I'm trying to teach something, I do that SOP thing we talked about last week. So the first thing I'm gonna do, if you're the manager, first thing I do is I wanna create an SOP. So let's say the SOP was, using E360. So first thing is you need a video. And probably 3 videos. So what I would do first, if I'm you, is create 3 separate videos, different times or different days using it, right? And then you'd have a link. And usually these are looms. You guys know what a loom is?
Yeah,
so like loom links, right? So you'd have a loom. The next thing after that is usually any resource link. So the only link you would need here is, the link to Elite 360, right? So it'd be your link. Then you do the step-by-step. So step-by-step would be All right, click the link here. Number 2, log in. Number 3, go here. Number 4, do that. But really, to integrate people, typically what you want to do is they watch videos and then they can also watch you live, and then you switch and make sure they have it down, and then you do that consistently until, okay, we're good to go, and then you can kind of let your hands go and then do less management meetings. But it's the same thing I would do with the sales rep. If you were brand new at sales and you've never done sales, I would start off by letting you look at my scripts, look at the material. Once you're done, I say, cool, you're gonna shadow me. You would watch me close live deals, and then I would flip the script and I'd follow you, and I would keep following you around until I felt you were good enough to start taking some calls on your own. Sales reps is gonna obviously take way longer. It could take 2 to 3 months. This should only take a couple days. They're just getting used to the new system, but once they get used to it, it's like a new cell phone where, it's not very complex. If you wanna mitigate mistakes, you're gonna want them to watch you first and or watch them for a bit. But the other side of the coin is if you don't care that much and you're not that concerned, you just know they're gonna make some mistakes and have you ask questions. But if at the very least you have some training videos, then as you bring on new guys, you don't have to keep showing the same shit over and over again, right? That's the whole point of SOPs, is that it's just simple, and then you can update it as the years go by if needed.
And with your, sales teams or marketing, I know you said you meet with your setters like every day and your sales
Setters and sales guys. I meet with my sales team, the actual dialer or callers, once a day. The setters I'll meet with a couple times a week they'll come on the meetings as well, but my manager of the setters, he meets with them privately.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess when you have those meetings, it's mostly just about optimizing like sales scripts, things of that nature.
It's usually call reviews. Call reviews or messaging reviews, because what you're trying to do past a certain point is you're trying to get your team to be as close to you as possible. So people will always say, well, I'm better at it. And it's like, no, of course you're better at it. So you're trying to get your team to 80% as good as you. So when we do sales meetings, we might go through a couple stats, a couple sheets. We'll look at leaderboards, for example, and then we'll just go through the call and talk about what they did well and what they didn't do well. Setters, we do a lot of messaging calls, and then closers, the same thing. The other thing though is sometimes for the setters, it's good for them to be on the sales calls to see how to think about the client. Because a lot of times they just, when they say this, do this, but they're not thinking about it holistically. So if I learned everything I could about construction, based on what he's saying, I'll know he's missing something or he doesn't know he's missing something. And those are the types of questions I want my team to hear me ask. If that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. What about also when it comes to like I guess you can say the scripts that you provide to all of your guys? Do you have to constantly like innovate and change a lot of things about how you're approaching sales in general, or overall have you found that it just stays the same?
Not really. It's more about creating an outline. So I don't like having word for word scripts, and I don't think you should.
Frameworks, I guess you
Frameworks,
could say.
correct. It really should stay the same, and if you're having a specific issue, you might change it. So for me, this is one of our frameworks. You can even see it says closure framework. So I list out some questions they can ask, and I highlight it based on what I think might be important or what you might need to pay more attention to. The pillars is what we talked about previously. Then you do the overview of the program, and then you create certainty, and then you close, and then it's objections. So I don't really see that change. The only time something will change, it's not even really a big change. It'll be maybe ask us another question so you don't get a certain objection. So when we're selling people on how to become a closer, we used to get people who would say, yeah, like I need a little time to think about it, and I'm not really sure I want to do this. So one of the questions I added to the script was, are you sure you want to be a sales rep? Have you looked into this? Okay, so if you move it at the end of the call, you feel it's a fit, you'll move forward. Because we kept getting people at the end of the call who kept saying, well, I need to think about it. And I got tired of hearing it. So it's little adjustments like that, but it's very rare I'll change something big unless you're changing something big about your product, right? So if you change something big about the product, you would change the pillars. If you're getting an objection at the end of the call, you're going to add in extra questions, stuff like that. But overall, it doesn't change much. And if you think about it, if I'm a good closer, if I hear something different on a call and I'm good enough to change my pillars during the call midway that make more sense for what they want. So if I get someone who comes on a call and they say, well, I'm really just looking for an ad agency, it's not going to make sense for me to talk about the same pillars because they want ads and they don't want consulting. So what I would do is instead of saying, all right, offer creation and faucet system and process, I'd talk more about, first, these aren't what I would call the pillars, but I'd say first world employees. So instead of someone in the Philippines, you'll get a USA guy. I might talk about omnipresent ecosystem. So instead of just running ads on Facebook, we're going to run ads for you everywhere. So you get more bang for your buck and people get retargeting, etc. Stuff like that. But there's never over the 6 years been any massive changes. It's always add this extra question, do this. And the way you get that though is you listen to your team's calls. And if they keep getting beat by certain objections, I'll add a question usually. Because the only reason people have questions at the end of a call is because the objection wasn't beaten early on.
Yeah.
A perfect call is no objections at the
no
end.
objection. Yeah.
Right? And then if I'm changing the pillars, it's usually because there's a change in product or something that I feel the avatar cares more about. And a lot of my clients, when they come on a sell, they don't really understand how to do that. So overall though, not really, no.
Gotcha. My last question is with the construction course, Justin kind of told me to do a lot of market research on what other people are doing. And I understand the advantage of that, of course, but at the same time it's Justin, so I think he's gonna kill anyways.
Yeah.
But how would do you do any market research for when you're starting a new company, like for the new one, for example, that you did?
Yes and no. So I think the first thing you have to figure out is what does someone want, right? So you guys are going to serve blue collar workers who want to start a construction company. So what are they going to want? They're going to want it to be fast. They're going to want it to be easy. They're going to want it to be simple. So your marketing and promises should be around that as much as possible, right? As long as it's ethical. When I'm doing a lot of business ads, I don't usually promise it's going to be simple because most people know it's not simple, but I'm usually talking about a specific strategy we use, right? So a mechanism, or we do this XYZ strategy that gets us XYZ more results, stuff like that. In terms of market research, it really goes back to the Facebook ads library that we talked about. So you guys, if you know the competitors, you could go to find their ads, click on the ads, go through their funnels, and you'll get all the market research you want. But keep in mind, it's also, you want to be, if different is good, it's just, if you have competitors who are selling the same things and they're having success, especially when you see ads running, their ad running means it's working, right? Because you're not going to keep paying for ads if they're not working. So the longer you see an ad running, the more effective the ad is, and probably the more effective that funnel is. So those are signs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, the ad library, I think I saw a video about it yesterday too, just checking people out, what they do.
Yeah, I don't know any competitors in that space, but to be frank, it's more what I would be curious about that you guys could look into is how do they deliver the fulfillment?
Yeah.
Right? What are they teaching them? And you could sometimes you can just buy a course. If Justin will give you guys the money, go buy the course and just go through it. But in terms of the marketing, it doesn't have to be anything complex. It might be, it's usually just the hook. So it'd be, are you a blue collar worker sick of, a normal 9 to 5, you want to start your own construction company or whatever? My hook for closers is, are you tired of going into the office in a 9 to 5 and you want to work remotely from home? Or it might be, are you tired of the 9 to 5 grind and you want to make $10,000 plus working from home? Because that's the enticement is they go, I can make more money working from home than going in the office. So we make a lot of the marketing around that, right? It's not anything complex. I didn't need to go do market research for someone to tell me that. The market research, the only benefit is you can see the types of funnels, the types of promises they're making, etc. But if you really just know what that avatar wants and you speak to it and you can actually deliver it, you're going to get great results. So check this out. When I launched my app, think of how good my hook's going to be. Are you a personal trainer who has a high ticket fitness business and you don't want to do any more messaging ever again? Hi, my name's Chidester. I built a $100 million company and I built an app that messages just like I did when I built a multi-million-dollar fitness company. The cool thing is there's no strings attached, there's no risk, there's no nothing. You can try it out for free for 30 days or you get your money back if it doesn't work. And I promise you'll get XYZ call set up or blah, 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 right? Because really what I'm doing is, that's obviously a big need because a lot of people would love to have something that messages for them. Imagine if Justin had that, right? And it was good. That's the biggest issue right now is a lot of it isn't good. But if it's actually good and you didn't need all that staff and it could message just as good as him, that would be a huge benefit, right?
Yeah.
So I just talk more about the benefit and it's a massive trade-off. So with construction, you're gonna wanna sell them on the fact why construction's better. You're gonna sell them on the fact why it's gonna be easier doing it with Justin than doing it on their own. You're gonna wanna sell them on the fact that they're working with Justin and not someone else. And you're gonna wanna leverage Justin's social media. Hey, my name is Justin Waller and I've built 3 million followers across my platforms in the last XYZ months or however many it is, probably a lot more. and I built a 8-figure construction company in less than 4 years. You know, it's just more of that type of language. Hopefully that answers your question, but the only market research you're going to want to do is just seeing kind of what other people do to see what is working and what's not working. You know what I mean? A lot of my competitors, I don't look anymore because they're usually just offering a different mechanism. Meaning, if you're first to a market, those either go really well or really bad. So ChatGPT worked really well because it was first to market. There's never been anything else like ChatGPT. So if someone else comes out with their version of it, no one really cares. The only way to usually win in a market where people are already doing what you're doing is to talk about the mechanism or the accolades you have. So for example, there's other construction coaching programs. So what's the benefit of working with Justin than this? Well, we do XYZ strategy and they don't, and it's Justin and not this guy. Does that make sense? But you're selling the same thing. So that's one of the biggest issues in the coaching industry right now is everyone's selling something similar at the end of the day, right? Like if someone works with me, I'm not going to show them something super crazy that no one's done before. It's just that they might be buying into the fact that I'm smarter or I'm more experienced or I use a different mechanism, right? A different strategy. So instead of a webinar, I use conversion conversations. Instead of ClickFunnels, I use Elite 360, right? And that's where my marketing comes from. It doesn't come from, or my sales strategy, right? We'll run ads that is how to beat the price objection. And some people are like, wow, I've never heard it like this before, whatever. You know, it's nothing crazy, but it's more focusing on the mechanism because at the end of the day, a business coach is a business coach, a business consultant is a business consultant, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But when I launch this new company, one of the things I can do is I can say, hey, there's nothing like this before, and B, there's nothing that's specific to this fitness industry. Because there's stuff out there right now, but the issue is it's not very good because they're trying to make it for everyone. So if I say, I built a multi-million-dollar fitness company, this is specific to trainers, and it's gonna talk like I did, that gives me a lot of credibility and a lot of unique mechanism power. And to be frank, I don't really know anything out there currently right now just for trainers. Maybe there is, but I haven't seen it. So it must not be that big because I would have heard about it, I feel like. There's a lot of stuff out there for everyone. But then that's the other nice thing about you guys being niche down is because you look more of an authority than if someone does everyone. So if there's someone who works with all blue collar workers versus you guys only work with blue collar workers who want to do construction, that will make you more specific in that expertise. And that a lot of times can also help you make more sales. The downside is it's not as big of a market, right? But the reason I did that with my app that's coming out is I knew that I could win in that niche. And I know that niche really well. But if I said, I'm going to do real estate and trainers and home development and consultants and coaches all at once, way bigger scope of work. And I don't think I'd win as fast. It would have taken, instead of 3 months to build it or 4 months, it would have taken a lot longer. So.
Gotcha.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we're going to be building out the course very soon. We're going to be recording all the modules and everything. But one question that I have is, do you think it's a good idea to start building out the rooms for, doing the more hands-on one-on-one type of experience where you have chat rooms and everything? Since we know how to build out like the video stuff, but it's kind of uncertain how we're going to build out like the team structure and who's going to be running what room. I mean, if it's only going to be Justin. Those types
So I'll just tell you what I did when I started. When I started, it was just me, and I didn't build any of the content out to start. What I did is I got someone on a call, and I said, okay, day one, here's our day one call, and I started walking them through what they should do. And then what would happen on the call is a lot of times they would ask questions or things that I didn't even realize they were gonna ask. And so what I would do is after that is I would take the video and I'd edit it, or based on how the call went, I'd reshoot an entire video showing the process again, but it's a lot cleaner. And that would become my first video. And then I did a second call and I did the same thing. That's how I initially built out the portal. So you guys can build it out first if you want. The downside to that is they might come in and you guys will realize, oh, they're having issues with things that we didn't know about, sorry. And then you have to reshoot it. Because I was the coach, I didn't really have to worry about that yet. And to be frank, you guys are in a different position because what you guys are going through is not normal. Most entrepreneurs start by themselves and they build the team as it grows. You guys already have the team and you're moving what you guys do now over to something else. So it gives you an advantage. But to start, you might just only have one coach and he coaches them and he does everything, right? And then as it grows, you can start moving people in. There's no downside to building it out first other than you might have to redo stuff possibly, right? It's not even, or at the very least, maybe you have your first 3 videos and the new client comes in and he watches the first video and he's getting feedback. And then as you see what's happening, all you have to do is be 1 video ahead. You don't have to have the whole thing done. You can say, hey, watch 1 video a day and you just keep putting videos in. That's how I built my first initial course.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't good to start, to be frank. I had some videos where I was coughing and hacking. I was super sick, and it's pretty funny, actually. Some of my videos are pretty terrible, but I just knew if I showed them what to do, I'd get the job done. So most of my clients, when they start, I tell them not to build it out first. The reason being they don't make any money, takes longer, etc. But for you guys, either way will work. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I'm kind of going more so, do you think it's a good idea to like start finding, let's say, there's like construction guys that Justin knows already that can be like, how would you say, like professors per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you guys are talking about like the group
Yeah.
coaches for that topic,
Yep.
right? Yep.
Because I just don't see how I don't think Justin's going to be going on every single Zoom call.
No, dude.
He just doesn't have enough time.
It just depends what form you guys want. So for example, we have the group calls, right? And then we also have a one-to-one coach. So I think it depends what you guys want to do. If I was running the high ticket program, we have a one-to-one coach that's assigned to each client. So, if we have 4 coaches, they all have their clients one-to-one, right? And so I'm trying to build the best coaching staff I can, right? Because if is better than or is better than that's a weakness, right? And then over the top, we have those group calls. So I think it depends what type of program you guys want. If you want the, hey, we have a professor that only focuses here, and then they go to each person for that specific thing, you can. But would it be a call format, or would it be call and text format, where they can get on calls and they can message?
I think it's call plus text.
Yeah, so it's both. So your question is, how do we decide who does which one, basically?
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever their expertise is. So if I was a coach, my team still has me do this. I do sales training. It's 1 hour a week. It builds content for me, and I'm good at sales, right? Mindset coaching, I'm not gonna do it. It's not my thing. I don't want to sit there and this and that, and 1, 2, 3, and ABC, all these types of things. We have a coach who does, the ads call. He's one of our ad experts. So it's really just picking what their strength is. If their strength is this thing, put them there. If their strength is nothing, you better make sure it becomes a strength before they become a coach. Because what you don't want in a high ticket program is someone who has no idea what they're doing. That doesn't work. Now, if you have someone who's really good at everything, or like in business consulting, here's the thing. It's way too hard to have that type of model, in my opinion, because there's so much stuff that works synergistically. So imagine if we've done, we might wrap up today depending on our time and y'all's questions. We'll see if we get through the other one. But let's say hypothetically we have 5 days. So this is day 4, we have another day. What if I only knew 3 of the 5 things? I don't know. It could work, but it'd make it a little harder, because when I'm teaching you on day 1 and 2, let's say came on day 3 and I didn't know what was talking about. Doesn't know what I already taught you on days 1 and 2, so then there's stuff that gets missed in translation. Even if you get notes on every customer and client, it gets lost usually. So that's why for me in business consulting, we assign certain clients to the coaches so that they're getting the same message across the board. There's also different ways of doing things, right? So if, Jill does messaging this way and John does it that way, they can get discrepancies in information. It confuses the client. So I think you guys need to figure out, I don't know all the ins and outs of construction. If stuff is very separate or separated, and you have this in construction and this, and they're very different types of things and it's different expertises, then that's fine. But if there's gonna be overlays of information where, this kind of works in synergy with this and that, you might want to go more the model where it's a specific coach. Does that make sense? But in terms of, if you do the group thing you're talking about, the number one way to pick is what's their strength. They have to coach on what they're good at. They can't, don't put someone in a position they're not good at, or try to get them to learn. It's not a good idea. Boy, you got anything?
I don't.
You're just so smart, bro. You know everything. I get it.
Wow, so smart. This might be more of a personal question.
Yeah, you can ask.
But how did you go about looking for people that ultimately stayed with you super long term?
Yeah, I mean, at first I f***ed up tremendously. So at first I hired my brothers, and my brothers didn't know much of anything, but I just trusted them and they worked hard, right? Mm-hmm. So when you start a business, usually you're hiring for potential, not talent. As you get later down the road, you're hiring for talent. So you guys, because Justin's making money from other sources, et cetera, and you guys are already involved, you guys can hire a good talent to start. You really shouldn't hire people. So for example, if you guys were talking about the coaches and you don't have someone who's really skilled there, you should go out and find someone who's really skilled, because what's going to happen is as the business grows, all you're going to do is have to replace them at some point. So it just depends on the downside or the risk though. So for me, when I'm starting the business, what most people do is, so here's 0, so it's just them. And then as they grow, right, they might have hired someone here, and then when they get, so this is revenue, right? So this is money, and then this is, we'll just say that's time. So when they get here, they're not making a lot of revenue, so they hire someone pretty or we'll say this is skill. So this is the person's skill, right? So they're not very good. But then they get up here, they've made more money, so they'll fire them and replace them, and then fire them and replace them until they get up to here. And it makes sense because as they make more money, they can hire a better person. You guys are in a weird position where you might be able to hire someone up here while you are still down here at zero. But then Justin has to be okay with fronting that cost and taking a loss for a little bit, right? Because you might have 2 or 3 months where you're paying that person, but you're not making any money. That's your decision. In terms of finding those people, my favorite is, first it would be referrals. So if you guys have a network, referrals is always gonna be a good one where, hey, this guy did this. And you want specificity, meaning don't hire someone who he's a great referral and did a random job. You would look for, hey, we're looking for someone who can coach blue collar workers on how to build a contractor business. So in a perfect world, who would that be? Someone who has been blue collar, someone who has started a construction company or been in a construction company, and then third, who's done that specific job. That'd be your perfect person. Finding those people sometimes can be very difficult. So, the first thing is you'd reach out to your network, you'd have a type form or an application similar to you would for a lead. You'd have specific criteria. When I'm looking for a sales rep, the number one things I'm looking for typically is, do they have experience closing deals before, or are they brand new? If they've closed sales calls before, that's gonna be better. What are the deal sizes they've done? What have they sold, right? If they've sold what I'm selling at the deal size and they've done it a while, that's gonna usually be a great fit, Maybe they've done sales before, but they've sold something different. That's not as great of a fit, but it still could work, right? So it's stuff like that. And then I like LinkedIn and Indeed a lot. I like LinkedIn more than Indeed because Indeed usually shuts us down. But what we'll do is we'll have a type form, and the type form will disqualify people automatically based on answers. And then we just go in there once a day and we look at all the requests. The other thing you can do is you can headhunt. So if you go on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you could type in contractors or contractor workers, and you can just poach people from different companies. So if you could pay better, let's say there's a contractor, blue collar worker who, he makes $7,000 a month or something. And you send him a message and say, hey, we're looking for someone to come coach our clients on how to do XYZ skill in contracting. Do you know anyone that would fit the bill? And the funny part is either they'll say yes and they'll refer someone, or they go, well, I would fit the bill. And you already knew that though, because you messaged them. And then those people sometimes you can poach, and those are the best people because they're coming from a specific person, right? So if I was gonna get a COO, one of the best COOs I could find would be working for another similar company as COO, right? And a lot of times if people are gonna leave, it's usually because of a new opportunity or higher pay, but that's usually the best ways to do it.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
What about people who use your product and you know it very well?
You can do that.
Do you find that
Yeah,
have any
you can.
success in
You
that?
yeah, you can do that. It just depends on how much success they need to have. So, for example, if I get a student who comes in at zero and grows a $50,000 per month business, that'd be pretty decent. But are they going to be able to help my clients who are doing $100,000 or $200,000 a month? Maybe not as much because they haven't gotten to that level, right? So it depends on, as a contractor, if there's just, all right, tie your shoe. If it's a skill where it's not super high skill, meaning, hey, here's how you tie your shoe, here's how you make a sandwich, etc., and they've done it before, that's fine. But if there's levels to the skill, you just got to be a little cognizant of that. So, for example, my head coach right now built a multi-million-dollar coaching company. Why is that helpful? Because if he built it, what does that mean? He's done everything to do it. He's ran events, he's had clients, he's had SOPs, he's had employees, etc. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
So it's easier to get him to give me great results than someone who's never done that before. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, for a part of the business like sales, could you also hire people that use the product? And
you can. It's just, again, you're teaching them a new skill that maybe they haven't done. So, maybe they've done sales in person, but they haven't done it over the phone. They haven't done high ticket. You can do it. It's just how much work you want to put in. Typically, the way it works is if you pay less or they have less experience, you're going to have to put in more time, right?
Yeah.
If you pay more and they have more experience, you put in less time, but you pay more. Usually, as you want to build companies, you want people who can think on their own.
Right.
You got to pay more for those people, right? If it's just a doer, doers are people who, hey, do this, and they're good soldiers, but they need you to tell them what to do. A general is able to think of the strategy. So you got to think of my company. We have sales, we have marketing, we have fulfillment, and we have product, really. So if I have to come up with all the ad angles, all the funnels, all the product, make all the events, and do all the sales with the sales team, that's a lot, right? Like there's not enough time in the day. So what I've done is I have a head of coaching who handles the fulfillment, right? I can help here and there, but really he's in charge of what the product looks like, how the clients are being interacted with, etc. He runs the events, takes that 100% off my plate. My COO does the marketing, so he comes up with the funnels, the angles, etc. And then I'm really just in charge of sales and content, right? So I'm the face of the brand, and I help with the sales and content. At the beginning of the business, it's fine, but as a business expands, it's way too much for one person. Hopefully I answered your question, but in the beginning of a business, it's normal to hire for potential. I'll say that. It's normal to pay less, hire for potential, maybe hire your buddies, hire people who've taken the product. But as the business grows, you want to try to stay away from that as much as possible, or just pay premium to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so this here is the last one, and this is Ascension, essentially. So how to double revenue with no extra ad spend. So all that means is moving a paying client to another program. That's it. So this is how Elite COs work, so you guys can see all the programs. So we have Elite COs, which is the B2B consulting, and then left, a 1-to-1 year with me is 200 grand. Then we have Elite Launch Academy, which is $4,000, which is brand new for beginners, so never started a company. Then we have Elite Closers, which is a sales training and recruiting company. So we'll either hire people, or people will pay us to train and place them, or business owners will pay us to give them closers. Elite Ads is Elite Ads Management. Then we have the Elite 360 software. Then we have Next Level, which is our Ascension program. So after Mastermind, they'll go to that. And then we have Next Level 1, which is also higher level, it's 25K. So the Next Level 1 is 6 months. Next Level 2 is 12 months. So those are all the things we sell right now, okay? So that gives you guys an idea on how to do that. In terms of what's included, I'm not gonna read all this, but this is Elite CEOs. So this is a 4-month program. The main thing they're trying to do is help them break the 10K per month barrier. And those are the deliverables and the pillars, okay? Elite Launch Academy, that's making the first sale. So that's a brand new beginner. It's a 30-day intensive, and those are the deliverables at the bottom, so you guys can see those.
Is Ascension like a common term?
Ascension is just how do we get them to ascend, right? So to buy more stuff, to move up higher in our program. So if you guys sell the construction thing, you might start off with your 10K mastermind, and then if they buy that after 6 months and they're making more money, they have new problems, right? So now they've made a construction company, they built the LLC, they've started making some cash, but they're doing all the work. So now you guys teach them how to hire. So for example, in our Next Level programs, we focus a lot on what I've talked to you guys about: ads, hiring, training, SOPs, etc. It's higher level stuff. When it's a brand new person, they don't need SOPs or hiring or training because there's nothing to do. It's just them, right? So that's ELA. This is Next Level Mastermind 1. So this is 25K a month for 6 months. Those are the pillars and the deliverables. On the top right, where you guys see that, those are the different processes they're gonna work on, right? So conversion conversation method is our lead generation system. The OS 1 and 2 is their first or second team hire. So it might be a setter and a coach, right? Then they're going to work on expanding their offers, getting new clients, and then fulfilling the clients, right? So that's just, this is just if someone were to ask what the deliverables are so they understand. This is Next Level 2. So this is trying to break past, this one is breaking past 25K a month. This one is breaking past 50K plus a month, all right? So different pillars and deliverables. And then this is eliteads.co. This is eliteclosers.com. Right, so this is how we get people who want to pay us for hiring and training for sales reps. This is Elite 360, our software. And that comes over time too, guys. You don't start this way. Don't go and say, oh, Tanner said we need 7 programs. No, like sell your main program, and as it grows, you build other things you can sell. Okay, so for example, for you guys, if you like Elite 360, that could be your software that you give to your contractors. You can sell that as an affiliate thing. Maybe your contractors need ads management, so you guys build an ad agency that just runs ads for contractors. You might have a higher level program. Once they break 10K a month, they have to hire a team, so you start helping them hire and train, right? This could be your course. So hey, they can't afford, the 10K, they can do a $2,000 course. There's a million things you can do, okay? That's Elite 360. This is my private coaching, right? So it's just a video with a button, and I tell them straight up, it's 200 grand. Don't book a call unless you're gonna pay 200 grand, because I don't wanna waste my time. In terms of our hiring process, I walked you guys through that. So that's Miro. This is our SOPs. I showed you guys that before as well. In terms of job candidates, what we do is we go to LinkedIn and we go to this recruiter button, and you can pay LinkedIn, I think it's $700 something a month to have 5 job posts up at all times. And so right now you can see, let me go to these. Our job posts that we have active is COO, high ticket closer, media buyer, appointment setter, and another appointment setter, right? And this is our internal appointment setter, and then this is our appointment setter for our clients, okay? The way this will look is, this will be the job post, and this is how it will look to someone on the outside. So here's the role, we'll put responsibilities, and then we'll put results and requirements. This is how it will look to someone. When they apply and they click that, it will open up the job form. I wanna see if I can show you how this looks. Yeah, there we go, view job on LinkedIn. So it looks like this. So it'll show our company, how big the company is. It'll have the about the job, and then obviously who I am, and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. They'll click here, and this opens up Typeform. Okay. Typeform will have basically the same exact things. And then as you guys can see, I'll just take you through a few of these. So they'll start coming through this and filling it out, right? So can you work for us full time? Are you located in US or Canada? Have you ever ran a marketing team before? Have you ever been CEO or COO before? Have you ever ran a sales team? I'm asking all the questions that will show me if they're experienced. If they haven't ran a sales team or they haven't been COO, I'm not going to hire them and pay them 20 or 30 grand a month. It's stupid. I'm not going to do that. You know, have you ever worked with coach or clients? Have you ever hired or trained team members? Do you have team management experience? You know, explain what products you've sold. A lot of COOs, for example, they've been for Fortune 500 companies, totally different than internet marketing. And a lot of times they've had big teams that do all the work for them. So they're good at pushing other people to do the work, but they don't do the work themselves. That's a problem, right? If your company isn't doing 100 million, you know, freaking year, that doesn't work. You need integrators, people who can lead and do integration, right? What hiring experience do you have, et cetera? So this is how we mostly do our hiring. So this is just an example so you guys can actually see it. You can do this on Indeed, you can do it on LinkedIn. Let me show you how the Typeform works so you guys can understand. So when you go into Typeform, what's cool is you can do something called create. So you go to create, and what happens there is you'll go to logic, and this is how it looks. So what you do is you'll create the questions first normally. Okay, so first you create all the questions here. You click and you have all these different things you can choose. More times than not, it's gonna be multiple choice or short text, right? So these two right here, okay? Once you make all the questions, you can click on logic. And what logic does is it shows all the questions, and then you see this right here. See these weird lines? So what this is saying is on 5, if they say A, go to 6. If they say B, or they put false, then it goes over here, and this thing over here says, based on your answers, you do not qualify, da 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 da. When I click on results, here's what it shows, and so you guys can see. So the ones who got automatically disqualified will look like this. See how they got disqualified? So as soon as it says they haven't been a COO before, disqualifies. As soon as it says they haven't ran a sales team before, disqualifies. Because most COOs, they don't need to know that, but guess what? The one that works for me, they do. Right? They do need to know that. So I don't even waste my time, because if they haven't done it, guess what that means? I'm gonna have to teach them. Do you think I wanna pay someone 20, 30 grand a month to teach them how to do something? No, I'm not even gonna waste my time. So that's something else you guys can do to save time, is when you're looking for editors or you're looking for sales reps or whatever, you ask all the questions that are important to you. So for example, I want a COO in the US or Canada. Why? Because I want my team to have someone who's on the same schedule, stuff like that. Have they ran a sales team? What products have you sold? What's your hiring experience? Because they're gonna run a lot of stuff for me. They're gonna run all my operations, and they need to know how everything works, because if you're running the operations of a company, but you don't know how the sales works or the marketing or things of that nature, it doesn't go well, usually. That's pretty much it. And then I also, like you see here, I'll say, do you know how to use ClickFunnels, Hyros, ManyChat, ActiveCampaign, Go High Level, Acuity? Because again, what I'm hiring for is experience. So that means the more stuff they haven't done and the more I have to teach them, it's not worth my time, because I have to pay for it, okay? That's it. Today was pretty short. I don't know if you guys have more questions about Ascension. I didn't realize how short these were, to be frank. But do you guys have any questions about, you know, what we covered or what you see on the screen in terms of different programs or how to upsell or anything like that? Maybe we could go over what you say to get upsells or how we kind of run that process, but it's completely up to you.
Do you think for the construction course, would it make more sense for us to make it recurring?
I mean, if you guys sell it at 10K and they get to the end of the 6 months and there's not a whole lot of new stuff you guys can help with, then yeah, maybe you can put in a recurring element where they can get ongoing support, but it's at a smaller price. But usually you want to sell high ticket, because again, high ticket is going to make you a lot more money. You don't need as many clients. You don't need as big of a team. There's more profit. I like low ticket stuff for things that don't take a lot of fulfillment. It's not that a group thing would be a lot of fulfillment, but it's not that great of a product.
And then also other questions. So
yeah.
We're basically going to be running 2 email lists now, and I'm obviously the main copywriter for the main email list.
Okay.
Do you think it's a good idea to start looking for a copywriter now?
For what? For the other one?
Specifically for running 2 lists.
I wouldn't do it to start. I would start waiting until you guys make money and then you see what you need. But there's so many things that are more important than that to start, because you can start an email automation sequence and that would be enough to start. You could send 1 email a week to start. The smaller the list, the less often you need to send it. I wouldn't start looking for someone until way down the road. I think you could handle it. You just cut back on what you're doing. You're doing an email a day for a bigger list. A smaller list doesn't need an email a day. You can do 1 a week. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah, that should be pretty easy then.
Yeah.
And then for the construction list, do you just recommend us only talking about construction, or could we talk about business? You know.
No, yeah, I think relaying it back to construction, obviously. So if I have a fitness list for trainers, I relate it back to business and fitness, but it's usually fitness related, right? So you could talk about mindset and things like that, but I wouldn't just talk about random business stuff that doesn't relate back to construction. Or like it could be about business, but you know, like if I'm talking about business and they have a construction business, that's fine. But you know, I would always try to make it related back to trainers because it was fitness, for example, as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we have these two lists now.
Okay.
Right? So we have the construction and the normal one. How do we make sure that we're getting the best leads for each? Because let's say
You just have to be more clear what they're opting into. So right now, Justin just has that link at the top that's join my Telegram for whatever. That's fine. Anyone can get on that. But if you're doing the construction, he would have to say, click down below if you want to build a construction company. And then it takes to the opt-in and you guys could say, you know, this construction company. You can even make it more severe and you could have a sub-headline that says, do not opt in if you don't want a construction company. This list is not for you. You can do stuff like that as well. And you guys, I told you guys, you can set it up too in Elite 360. You guys can set it up where you have a button they could click or another opt-in where it says, do you want us to also subscribe you to Justin's daily Telegram? And they click that, and then inside Elite 360, they'll, you know, those tags, you have your list, and then you can tag them, right? You'd have construction and you'd have daily Telegram, right? And then if they opt into both, then they start getting the emails for both, right? You could do that easily.
Cool.
You guys have any more questions?
I mean, all of this is just making us realize how simple all this is. It's actually not that hard.
Yeah, it's really not. It's just you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, if you haven't done it before, you guys would have had to go through, you know, however much bullshit to figure it out, and that's what sucks. You make mistakes, and then you go back, you go, oh, okay, that's what I should have done instead. But yeah, once you're on the right path, it's pretty straightforward. It's just getting on the right path. Yeah, for sure. So, cool.
You guys have any questions?
I'm good. Brenna doesn't have any questions because he's Brenna.
I'm clean.
Cool. So I'll see you guys. I think, what did we say tomorrow was 4?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's 4.
whatever you guys want to cover tomorrow is your call. Bring over whatever you want, and then we can either go through stuff on your computers or Q&A or whatever you want. And then obviously you guys can still ask me questions after tomorrow, but that'll be, you know, in terms of presentations and so forth, that'll be
That was awesome.
that'll be a wrap.